hope you're enjoying my dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with family and friends, like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it. And just remember, Jesus loves you.
Hi guys, just one little factor here before we start this video here today. If for any reason my YouTube channel gets taken down, which could happen because we're challenging the deep state and we're challenging the powers behind the scenes. But if it does get taken down, I'm going to share the link below here. We have a website, drcharlieward.co.uk, and you can subscribe on there to our updates and our newsletters, etc., that are being produced by Lee Hemington. But you'll be able to keep in touch with what's going on. So at the moment, everything is nice and smooth. But if for any reason we get taken down, you simply go to my website, drcharlieward.co.uk, and register there, and you'll get all the information as to where we are or where you can view our videos.
We live in Queensland on the Sunshine Coast.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, lovely part of the world.
It is, it is. It's a little bit, we're coming out of our winter going into our summer. So we're looking forward to that.
No, it's, we're right in the middle of our summer here in Spain. So it's lovely and warm in the mid-30s, hence my colour. Looking like a beetroot.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
Sorry?
That's good. It's keeping that so-called virus away, you know, 24 degrees.
What virus?
Yeah, that's what I mean. The pretend virus.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing how people get scared, isn't it, over something that was downgraded to nothing more than the flu back in March. And you have to remember, as ladies, it's not even as bad as man flu. Man flu's bad.
It's bad.
Well, I hear you say that because we follow you and we've been following you for a long time. And yeah, every time you say man flu, it's not as bad as man flu. We just crack up. You just crack us up because it's true. It's like if you really do your homework on it, yeah, and you look at, you know, every time there's a US election, all of a sudden there's some pandemic or flu or something that comes about.
It's convenient, isn't it?
It
It
is.
is very convenient.
And the funny thing with Australia and New Zealand is quite simple. We've always looked up to you guys as being tough and smart. And everybody's brains turned to mush right now. It's just like, really? I was talking to two guys from Australia yesterday, and it was just like, this is not an Australian that I know. You know, Australians, in my opinion, have always stood up and been men. There's always been the Bruce and Sheila mentality, you know. Bruce stands up and he's strong. I'm just seeing them capitulate, and I wish they'd do the same on the rugby field and the cricket pitch, but they just don't.
I think we idolise our sporting people more than everyday humans. And you know, I like the way that you say, you know, people they're jellyfish, and sitting in Australia and looking around, there's so many women that are stepping up and getting the message out and being very vocal and wanting to share. There's very few men, but of those that are doing it, they're doing an amazing job. Like we've got Chef Pete Evans, and he's really put his neck out to get the message out on different things. I watched your interview with the two guys yesterday. And Jamie did a live not long after your chat went live, and he was really passionate, and you could feel it in there, you know, telling Australian people to wake up and, you know, stand up and get out there and do what we need to do, because it is pretty tough down in Victoria.
Yeah,
It is.
It's shocking.
But I've learned so much about Victoria and about other areas. I was completely oblivious to the fact that you've got tunnels full of children there that have been kidnapped. You've got corrupt politicians. I had no idea. I just look at Australia as a beautiful country. I didn't realise it had a real deep, dark side. So these lockdowns are to to save these children from these tunnels. I had no idea.
Charlie, we actually are the centre of the actual Ninth Circle satanic cult in Australia. We are the actual home of that. So that's why there's so many of the tunnels and children and everything like that, is because of that actually reason here in Australia.
I don't think the Australian people have any idea this is going on. And I'll tell you what, they shouldn't be embarrassed, because I didn't know that it was happening in England. I had no idea. I had no idea until I started investigating. And when I started investigating, the first time I walked away because it felt so disgusting and horrible. And having lost my firstborn son, it went from empathy to sympathy. And it was like, it really, really tore my heartstrings to such a level that it was a very emotional journey. So don't feel ashamed if you don't know about it, but do yourself a favor and start researching about the amount of, when you just understand 22,000 children worldwide go missing every day, and you go, why have we shut down the world for a common cold, and yet we haven't done it for 22,000 children going missing every day? Where's our moral compass? What train are we on?
Yeah, and yeah, Charlie, I think that's the point. I went down the rabbit hole and found, and I've seen images like you've seen it, and once you've seen it, you can't unsee it, and it's a very, very emotional roller coaster ride. And I work in an industry that we help people, and we've got a spiritual business. I'm like, why the hell did I not? My intuitive gut tell me that this was as bad as what it is. We've all known about pedophilia; it goes on everywhere. But I think we're like, well, we don't want to know. Yes, it's happening, but to find it to the extent that it is going on, just not in Australia but around the world, it absolutely just makes it. It made me so sad and so emotional that I wasn't doing anything. And I feel that if we don't stand up and do something, and we're actually letting those poor children, the souls of those children, down by not voicing, because on another level, I believe that they have chosen to be as we change and we move forward. And if we don't do our job on the surface, then we're letting them down and their souls down.
It's a bit like having your lights on in the daytime when you're doing what you're doing, because you're showing the light to people in the light. We need to be shining our light on the people in the dark. This is where we've got to change our minds, because I've been fronted up about Justin, who does the start of my videos, 10 years old. Take him off TikTok, it's full of paedophiles. I went, nope, I'm going to stay on TikTok and find these paedophiles and out them. Because if I don't, nobody else is going to do it. And then other people's children become victims because nobody has the backbone to stand up against these paedophiles. I had the same with Facebook when it came out. I had the same with Instagram. I had the same with Snapchat. All these social media, people, oh, you don't want to go on there because there's paedophiles on there. No, I want to be right on there, and I want to front them up. And with people that are working in the light, there's no point shining your light in the light. It's shining your light in the darkness to show the people in the darkness where the light is.
Oh, so well said, so well articulated. And if we don't go into that dark, we can never move that darkness into the light. And that's why I truly agree with you 100% that this isn't a normal election. This is dark versus light. We're moving the dark to the light, and you're either on the train or you're not. We all have a choice to make, and the more that we're on that train, the greater we can create change on the planet. And in Australia being so dark, I like thinking, for me, when I found out what's happening in Melbourne and how dark it is, and then the tunnels in Canberra, then we've got Pine Gap, none of us have ever questioned it.
No.
It's like, we're intelligent human beings. And even myself at times I thought, why didn't I never question this? And people that I know, they're going to me, Sandra, you're mad. This isn't happening. There's no proof. Where are the children? But like I say to them, Charlie, is that the children are coming out under darkness because of they're 10Ks down underground. And as a human being, and it's like, I think Charlie Freak or yourself talking about the pressure as we bring these children up, You know, there's a whole host of stuff that sits around this. It's not about us as people wanting proof and seeing photos. That's sensationalizing it. It's not actually respecting the kids or respecting the work of the great men and women that are down in those tunnels seeing what they're seeing.
Well, it's very interesting you say that, because I know somebody who works in the government who's been trying to shut me up. And he said to me about 2 months ago, next you'll be telling me there's children in tunnels underground. I went, yep, that's exactly what I'm going to be telling you. If that's the truth, I'll be telling you. And he wasn't happy about it, not happy about it at all. And I'm now getting factual proof of this. And when I say factual proof, there's been a demand for clothing for children in certain areas of the UK. The other thing, you have to look at all these field hospitals that were built that were never ever used for COVID-19. They were never ever meant for COVID-19. No. They were built as a showcase for COVID-19. Now they're all being protected by security guards because they've got children inside them, and they're having to keep it very, very quiet because the mainstream media are complicit. They don't want you to know about this because they're involved. And this is why Donald Trump will take the mainstream media down, but he'll take them down last. So that people really understand them. And I've tried to explain to people in Australia and New Zealand and South Africa and Canada, if you're a Christian, get off your knees. If you're a Muslim, get off your knees. It's time to stand up. You can't just stay down on your knees and pray. It's time for action. You can pray as long as you want, but without action, nothing's going to happen. You need to do something, because Donald Trump is not going to invade your country and force regime change. That was the previous administrations used to do that. And it's completely unacceptable. People don't want it. People of every country, whether it's Libya, Iraq, they didn't want it. They didn't want regime change. And if we look back, Saddam Hussein was a good man because he kept Iran, Iraq, Syria, Libya under control. You need strong leaders. We don't have them right now. Vladimir Putin runs a country with 11 time zones full of completely crazy people. Now, if you're not super crazy, you cannot control them. Can you imagine your Prime Minister trying to run Russia? Boris Johnson or Theresa May trying to run Russia? Angela Merkel trying to run Russia? It would be anarchy. Wake up, people. You know, you've got some real strong people in Australia. Most of them play rugby. The rest play cricket. But you could do with somebody like that to run your country because they've got passion. Somebody like Ricky Ponting, you know, a passionate man, humble man, passionate, who's just a natural born leader. You have them there, and yet you pick a monkey instead. But this time you need to learn from the experience. Stop picking these useless people.
Well, I listened to Sasha Stone today. He was interviewing two people from Australia, and you're very polite to what Sasha said. and as you know, you've chatted with Sasha, very passionate man, very straight to the point. And but yeah, so if anyone's they should watch that and find out what Sasha actually thinks of the Australian government. It was hilarious. It's quite funny.
I'm talking to Sasha on Monday.
Awesome.
We get on Monday with Michael Tellingen from South Africa.
That would be an interesting chat. So, which leads me into the question is, how do we find that once this is over, and like we know that there's a reset, a global reset, and there's so much more to it. How do we find the people to run our country? What's the plan going forward?
Oh, and that's going to be so simple, because now you know what not to pick. And you won't have different party political sides. You won't have it like we won't have Conservative, Labour and Liberal Democrat. We won't have that. And what we'll have is a GESARA government. So we'll look for people to lead that. So we'll be looking, it will have nothing to do with colour, sex, religion, faith. It'll be people that will work for you as the Australian people.
And that's what we want. So it's up to us to find those people, or for people to stand up and do that. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes over the next few months, because we know that all governments fell or capitulated to Trump, and it's a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know really that we're actually here in Australia being managed, and managed is probably not the right word, but we're being run by
100%. You're being run, same as England.
By the white hats, and Australia was part of the Five Eyes with New Zealand, Canada, Britain, and the US. And when you see these maps of the Q map, and I've looked at a Q map, it really opens your eyes up just how evil our country and the people that aren't in government currently, that have been in government, how evil they actually are and where they sit in the tree.
Yep. It's very, very true. And thank God for people like Julian Assange,
Yes.
Edward Snowden. These people are hated by the deep state, by the Illuminati, because they've absolutely outed them completely as to what they're doing. But what Donald Trump has done very cleverly is, instead of using their evidence, which you could always stand up in court and say, well, it's been taken from the wrong source and it's been done the wrong way, Donald Trump has compiled the evidence through the front door rather than taking. He knows what it is, so he's subpoenaed Google to get the emails. He's done all these things, and people said to me yesterday, "Oh, how come Hillary Clinton has slipped out of her giving evidence?" With respect, Hillary Clinton is no longer with us. We have a clone with us, and you can tell that just by looking in her eyes. There's absolute death there. That's not the real person, but it's just a showcase. It's a red flag. It's a smokescreen, whatever you want to call it. She was dealt with a long time ago, along with many others. And this will all come out next year. But for those people who know what they're looking for, and you don't need to be a rocket scientist. You just need to know what the truth is and then start looking for it. But if you're looking for the truth on television, you won't find it. It's a bit like looking for the truth on the mainstream media television is like looking for a diamond down the toilet. You're not going to find it, or a gold bar down the toilet. You have to look in the right places to find the right truth. And then what you have to do, Sandra, is take truth from about 4 different sources and trust your own intuition. This is time to wake up. And instead of relying on the mainstream media, find out what you have. And you women are better at it than us men. It's a sixth sense. You can smell bullshit from a mile away.
Yeah. If it looks like shit, smells like shit, it's shit.
Exactly right. Exactly right. 100%. And then you can work it out. You don't need to be a scientist or a biologist. You just need to work it out and listen to perspectives and then make your own judgment. And then once you start making your own judgment, you'll be led down the correct path, looking for the right information. Sometimes you'll be distracted by red flags. That happens. I've been distracted by certain things, and you go, Steve Bannon's arrest, that was like, really? And then you suddenly, oh, no, okay, now I see it. But once your moral compass is accurate, then that sort of thing hits you and you go, okay, now I get it. Because your moral compass is straight. But when your moral compass is slightly off, then you get drawn with it.
So, Charlie, I've got a few questions I'd like to ask you for the Australian people.
Yep.
If you can answer them, I know that if you can't answer them, you're very honest and say no. You don't put a load of bullshit around it.
Sure.
You just say no, I can't answer it. So, moving forward, as we move forward and we come out of this and we move and it's done and it's everybody's been arrested and NESARA, GESARA has been implemented. What is the plan, or is there any plan? You may not be able to answer this, for those that are going to be shocked by what's gone on. What's the plan to help these people, humanity, and I'm talking about all of humanity, to move forward? We're going to have a lot of deaths. We're going to have a lot of heart attacks. People are going to be in absolute shock. Is there a plan in place to work through that?
Yeah, there certainly is. And this is what the second lockdown is for, is to cover up the amount of deaths through heart attack and suicide. And also, in addition to that, people that should have had an operation in March, April, May, June, July that have been denied that because of the bullshit. So there'll be a lot of deaths in September and October. I understand that. And then it rests on your shoulders, Sandra and Rebecca, and my shoulders, to enlighten people and to. I've often said the theory of a shepherd: if you push people, they run away. If you just guide them along, there'll be a lot of embarrassment. I mean, and there'll be a lot of anger. There'll be a lot of frustration. People who've lost businesses and houses, had they have been awake or aware, that wouldn't have happened. So there'll be embarrassment. Then you've got these motivational speakers who've been pumping out a narrative, and then suddenly find out they were miles off the mark. There are motivational speakers who've been told to stay away from it, who have woken up but have been told, step back from this right now, stay in your lane, they've been told. So it falls on our shoulders, and for us to help humanity is the reason that we've been doing this right from the start. So it's nothing new to us. The people who've been open-minded care about humanity. That's why we're doing it. We're not doing it for money. I'm certainly not doing it for self-gratification. I'm just doing it to get the truth out there. That's it. So when it falls on our shoulders to help people, it'll be our job to. Sometimes it's difficult because I'm on like 185 videos now. So sometimes they ask you questions and you go, well, if you watch video number 2, that'll tell you a bit about it. And then watch this one, and then watch that one, and then watch this one. And that's what I'm having to do. Otherwise, you just get caught in about 10 hours of conversation where we've put all the information out there from day one. And every now and then I go through the format as to how we started and why we are where we are for those people, so they can catch up, to explain that it was all I was told it was going to happen. So when people say, well, that's just conspiracy theory, it's not, because I was told it was going to happen and it happened. That's truth. That's not conspiracy. It might not fit your narrative, but that's the truth. So it's our job. It's our job, Sandra.
And it is our job, but it's also our job. What I'm seeing in a lot of groups and everything is there's a lot of people being very stern, or they're being very aggressive to people that haven't woken up. And I believe it is our role to actually show love and compassion, because if we're aggressive towards these people, we're just going to push them back. We really have to be in that place of total unconditional love, because there was a time when we weren't aware. And exactly. I don't like to call them sheep, and I don't like to say they're not awakened, because I personally believe that when you say that to somebody, they go into a place of judgment. I just say to them, you're unaware. You were unaware like I was at the same time. So I think our language is really, really important in this time for those of us that are aware and have got a bigger plan to play to help these people move forward. So my second question that I've been asked to ask you, the children, how are they being healed, and how will they be integrated back into society?
That's a massive challenge, and I don't know where to start with that one, because the groups, let's call it that were currently in place to do exactly that turned out to be corrupt and evil. So they've had to start all over again with a different type of person. You know, your UNICEFs, your Oxfams, your all of these groups that were supposed to be there to help the children were not doing that at all. NATO also involved. All these big organizations have been completely corrupted and infiltrated by evil people. And it's very much a question of starting from scratch. Now, they haven't told me, but I can assure you 100% that the team behind Trump will have this planned to an absolute T, because it's military planning. The people behind him consist of around 8,000 people, of which you've got the 4 big boys at the top: Trump, Putin, Modi and Xi. They're working very closely together.
And he's also getting help off planet as well, isn't he?
without a shadow of a doubt.
Just have to look at some of these.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the awareness, you can see images and people standing next to him, and you're like, there's no way anybody could be up near the motor of Air Force One. And yeah, and I know we're not just fighting a war here on the planet. We're fighting a spiritual war, which is just not about our universe, but it's about all the universes, the galaxies and everything. And they're watching us, and they've been watching us for a long, long time. And, you know, sometimes I'm sure they think, you bloody humans, just get it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. No, you're absolutely right. Number one, Trump has God's hand on him without a shadow of a doubt, and his full blessing. Without a shadow, that's why he's still alive.
Yeah. Without
God's support and help, he wouldn't be alive. There is also, God has provided him protection from many different angles. And the level that he's on is so far above most people, you couldn't make it up. You talk about moving from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. He's into double digits, might even be triple digits. He's so far ahead of the game.
Because, yeah, I have an understanding of the dimensions all the way back to what we would call the Godhead, the Creator. There's many, many, many dimensions, and to be able to do what has to be done on this planet, we needed somebody like Trump, and many people are playing personality politics. It doesn't matter what this man does, how good he is. If they say, I don't like him, and you're like, why? I just don't like him, because they've listened to the mainstream news, or they're looking at what he may have done in his personal life, or whatever. But we all do those things. We all have shit happen in our lives that we're not proud of, and we do. But my wish is that one day the planet, I believe personally, that Trump will go down as the greatest spirit and incarnation this planet has ever seen.
It takes a great man to do what he's doing, and a great soul and a family and all his support to get through and do what he's doing. He's doing an amazing job.
He is, and my wife's one of those people that doesn't like him. Right from day one, she couldn't stand him. And that was because she's a Muslim and what he used to say about them. But that was done for a reason. That was loaded. And I said to her the other day, I made her watch the video that I'd done about 8 things that he's done. She said, I still don't like him. I said, you've never met him. You're just brainwashed. You've never ever met him. You just believe what you hear on the media. You've never heard him talk to you personally, ever. It's just for the media. And I've learned even with my little experience, and I can edit things out and I can put things in. And I'm like, I try not to do it. And I was thinking, and it was yesterday evening, she said she was talking about one person I'd done an interview with who was going to send the video across to Trump, because it was one of my biggest moments a couple of weeks ago when he retweeted one of our videos. That meant an awful lot. So it meant that he was watching what we were doing, and it's nice. That's right, a nice feeling. And she said to me last night, you know, he might even invite me. He might invite you to come and see him. I go, well, there's no chance of you getting an invite, is there? And she just started laughing.
Charlie,
I said, if he did invite you, would you come? She went, well, of course I would. I said, there you go. There you go.
Oh, you've got to love her for that. At least she's honest.
Exactly.
And my next question is the brave men and the brave women that are rescuing these children. So much emotional damage for these people. So we, when we go to war, we get we get people that come back from war with all sorts of things. Are these brave men and women being supported emotionally and mentally?
You can bet your life they are, because I'll tell you right now, from the people I talk to, they've told me that this has been planned out, every single aspect. And when they say every single aspect, they mean every single aspect. Because what they're doing in taking down the deep state and the cabal, nobody has ever done this. Nobody's even broached it. Nobody's broached taking down the paedophile gangs. And he's taking down royal families. He's taking down people who've run countries. I mean, seriously powerful people. Seriously powerful people. And they will have thought this through very, very carefully. And when I say every aspect, I mean every aspect. Because he's learned so much from what happened with the previous administrations, where they went into countries, caused mayhem, and never thought about what's going to happen afterwards. They will have thought this through 1,000 times over. They're no mugs. They're absolutely no mugs. I mean, they're so ahead of the game. And they're led by powers way and above you and I, way and above, that will be guiding them on how to look after the people that are doing a very difficult job and look after those that are being saved. It's something that we probably won't ever find out about, because I think it would be too distressing. I was sent a video. I've been sent so many videos, but I was sent the video of Hillary Clinton dismembering and abusing a child. And I watched no more than 10 seconds of it and felt violently ill and destroyed it. I would never share it with anybody. That memory will stick with me for the rest of my life. And that's what drives me forward to fight paedophiles, corrupt governments, and evil people. That was enough. I don't need any more images. They were disgusting.
I've seen that video.
Yeah, and the satisfaction on her face is just like, I feel sorry for the police officers who had to view that. And I've heard from police officers who had to view it. I think 3 were physically sick.
Yeah.
2 or 3 passed out from memory. It's disgusting. And to think that people considered her as a credible person to run a country, you need to see a brain surgeon, some of you out there.
Yeah. Exactly. When the day I found out that Trump was running for president of the United States, I just went, the world's about to change.
Yeah.
He will get in, and everyone, you say you're mad. He won't. I said he is going to get in, and he is going to create change on a massive, massive level. And he hasn't let me down, because from the moment he got in, he's just gone straight after the pedophiles and started draining the deep state. And when you listen, and I truly mean, we can hear something, but then we have to listen. When you listen to the way this man speaks, or whether I listen to how you speak, you actually hear what is being said. So what people aren't doing, they're not truly listening, because every time he speaks, he drops gold.
Yeah.
And he never makes a mistake. People say, don't say, he is not articulated. This man didn't get to where he is and have an IQ of what he's got, what he has, without being highly, highly intelligent. And I love watching him, because I go, okay, I'll go back, like the Whirlpool and the 17 and all of that. I'm not going to get into Q tonight, because I think it's been done. But for the Australian people that follow me, they don't know what NESARA, GESARA is. There's a lot that do, but there's a lot that don't. But those that follow me have just said, when do we get our money? And I'm like, it's more than that.
It's so much more than that. It's
more than money.
It's got nothing to do with money. And if you look at NESARA and GESARA as when do I get my mortgage cleared, you've missed the whole point of it. It's about a humanitarian world where there is no debt. And let's just say that you have no mortgage. What are you going to do with that money? Or is it all about you, or is it about helping other people? And that will define how we are. But we've been so programmed to debt and to me, and wanting to be, as we say in England, keeping up with the Joneses. If they've got a new car, we have to have a new car. If they've got a new lawnmower, we have to have a new lawnmower. It's complete bullshit. We've got to start learning what our lives are about. And the enjoyment, the satisfaction out of helping people. I've been working with charities for years, and I've always done it very discreetly. I've tried to. And one of the ones that was the biggest heart-render to me was Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is children in the last years of their life. And I used to have nice cars, and I'd race them around a race circuit in there and see their faces. And then at the next year's ball, you'd see the parents and no child. And it was tough, but it became impossible when I lost my own son, because it went from empathy to sympathy. And there's so much we can be doing out there for other people. And it's when you see people that are homeless, providing money is not the answer. Money is not the answer. It's love and time. And being able to share something that we've learned and be able to just help these people. There's just so much that we all have that we can offer, and all we're driven by, because the world we live in, is money. And you go,
money, sex and fear is what we are driven by.
Correct.
Sex sells, and we're driven by fear. They're the three things that this planet has been driven by. Sexy girls in front of a car sells that car. You'll see people in their Facebook ads, do you want to make $1 million? How I earned $1 million or so much doing this. Do you want to make money? Do you want to do this? It's all about money. And, you know, when I've been divorced for 10 years, and when I was with my ex-husband, we were all about that materialistic world. We had the houses, we had the cars, we had the boats, we had the holidays, and it was all about climbing that ladder until we went our separate ways. And what I realized was that because I didn't have that income or that lifestyle, I'm actually more happier now because I wasn't happy then. I had everything, but it didn't make me happy. And it's like now I don't have as much, but I have everything, if that makes sense. And I'm driven by different things. And the last 12 months, just like you, there's been so much peace in my life because I just know that we're moving to, it doesn't matter what turmoil there is, I know that we're moving to a far better, what I like to call it, new earth.
Yeah, you can call it the great awakening, the new world. It's not new world order, that's the evil part, but it's a new world, it's a revelation, it's something incredibly special that we'll move into, and there'll be some people that will embrace it. And one thing I've noticed in my lifetime is that you tend to find with people that are beggars by the roadside that poor people give to beggars, rich people don't.
Yeah.
And that tells you so much about what's inside somebody's soul and how they are as people. We need to learn to look after what we've got and be grateful for what we've got, because when I lost my son 11 years ago, it was my firstborn son, there was a part where you could very easily get wrapped up in what you've lost. But then I had to remember I had another son, another daughter. Now I've got Justin, I've got 4 grandchildren, and it's time to wake up to be grateful for what I actually do have.
Yeah.
And focus on what you have rather than what you don't have.
And I have one last question for you. The Medibeds. Now, I'm really excited about this, and yes, this is my ego, because I can really put my age back 30 years. So it means I get to live on this planet for another 30, 40 years. And when do you think this technology will come out? Because the pharmaceutical company has, the big pharma has suppressed all of this. We've had people dying of cancer. We've got people queued up to have all this stuff, and yet it's here. And, you know, Tesla and all of these amazing people that were squashed by the Illuminati, the deep state, whatever you want to call it. When do you think we might see this technology?
We need to see it fairly quickly, because they could ascertain that most of the world doesn't even have a brain cell. But no, they'll look, now they're in control. They'll start rolling these out very, very quickly. Donald Trump will use every single medbed he can to help him to show the world why he's doing what he's doing. But they're phenomenal things. There's 6,000 patents that have been blocked by Bill Gates and his team of drug dealers, because that's all they are. They're drug dealers. They're nothing more. Bill Gates is not qualified as a biologist. He learned that if you create a virus in a computer, you need to create an antivirus. And he made a fortune out of doing that. And he thought, oh, if I do that with humans, create a virus and then create a vaccine, I can be a trillionaire instead of a billionaire. He's a dirty little scumbag. And the world is waking up to that. So once Trump has wrestled control from him, put him back in his box where he belongs, and then Trump will open up these doors and the WHO will cease to exist. because they're the most corrupt, or they've got nothing to do with the health organization. They're a drug dealer. That's all they are. If you've got plenty of money, they'll promote your drugs. That's it. No interest in genuinely trying to make the world healthy, which we can do ourselves. But all these med beds and all these solutions, most of them are so simple you wouldn't believe, but they've been blocked. When I found out that Bill Gates tried to patent the lemon, I just fell about laughing. It was just like, you couldn't make that shit up, you know. You're completely deranged. But this shows how evil they really are. But no, there's a lot coming, and Trump will bring them out bit by bit. And if you look at Trump as a poker player, he's already played all his 2s and 3s, but he's got his big hand to come, and I promise you, he's got every picture card, the jack, the queen, the king, and the aces, still well hidden away. He hasn't even shown those yet. We're not even...
That's what they call the Trump card. Cards.
Exactly, the Trump card. He's got plenty to come.
Awesome. So I will ask about mortgages. So because we're not going to have mortgages because there'll be no debt moving forward, how do we buy a house?
Very simple. In the revaluation, property prices will come down between 50 and 80%, in my personal opinion. It's only my personal opinion, but this is on the information that I've gathered. I might be right, I might be wrong, but I see them coming down huge amount. Go back to, Sandra, the days of your grandparents when you could buy a house for 2 years' salary.
Yeah.
And then what will happen, you know, Rebecca will say to Mum, can I use a bit of your credit there so I can buy this house? And you'll say, yeah, of course you can. So you have the title deeds in your joint names until such times as she's paid you off. And there'll be many, many, many people out there who will say, Rebecca, we'll help you with this, no problem at all. Then you'll have the Jews come along and say, well, I'll lend it to you for 10%. And you go, no, piss off. I've got people who will lend. There'll be too many people, humanitarians, who'll be happy to do it for nothing, for the right reasons, that will embarrass the takers. Those days are over.
I also believe that we'll be looking more after our age.
Yep.
Elderly. Here in Australia especially, Rebecca works in aged care, so she sees people in aged care just not have any family come to them, and it's quite sad. They don't know where they are. We won't have that problem moving forward because people with Alzheimer's and that can use the Medibeds. So there's not going to be a need moving forward for a lot of these aged care, and it'll bring a lot of us the families, especially in the Western world, back together as a group where we're not all scattered everywhere and just put our mum and dad. She often laughs and says, I'll just stick you in a home. I go, no, you won't be. But we won't be doing that.
Our moral compass is so out of sync on that one. Like, you're in Australia, you just close by to you. Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, all of those countries. Do they put their parents into old people's homes when they get old? Doesn't happen. China, doesn't happen. India, doesn't happen. Pakistan, doesn't happen. England, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. And you get old, we'll ship you off to God's waiting room. Sit there and wait and die. What's wrong with us? What is wrong with us?
It's just become a multi-million-dollar industry now. It's nothing really much more than that these days, with the homes that they just can make up and that. Yeah, it's quite sad, some of the stuff.
These people have survived the Second World War and brought us all up and given us so much. And as a thank you, we put you in God's waiting room.
Yep.
So Charlie, what's your background for those here in Aussie that may not know? I know you're a very smart man, and I know
No, I'm just Charlie. I was born in a religious cult called Plymouth Brethren. Funny enough, the leader of the Plymouth Brethren is Australian.
That's right.
I think he's John Hales or Bruce Hales. One of the two. It's a father and son. Father died, the son took over, because they're both accountants. They're clever boys. It's all about the money. But I grew up. I was born into the Plymouth Brethren. I had an arranged marriage when I was 18. I left it when I was 23. My wife and 3 children stayed in it, and I got them out 5 years later. And I had to find my feet. When I first came out of it, I had not a clue what was going on in the world. But then I found out I'd been lied to all my life. You know, the end of the world was coming by the year 2000. They called it the rapture. It was coming to an end. You didn't need to study at school, didn't need this. You could drink whiskey at 12 years old, and you're like, I was pissed but most of the time. And of course, you point the finger at the other kids, and that's, you say, well, I'm allowed to drink. You can have your telly, but I'm quite happy with a drink. So there was that little game. That's where I come from, and was basically lied to a lot. So I'll end up wanting to question everything, because I found out the most sad thing was I found that the most Christian-like people in the world didn't go to church. So I found that very difficult, and the most hypocritical did, and I find that very difficult. We're starting to find out now the corrupt churches. Not every church is corrupt. You can't say that, but there are big churches that have been proven to be absolutely evil and corrupt. And on the Christian side, of course, in America, you had Waco, Texas, which was a corrupt setup as well. We've seen it on all different religions, whether it's Muslims, Christians, Catholics, Protestants. There's good and evil everywhere. And we just need to be alert as to what the truth is. So that's where I grew up from. And I've worked very, very hard with no safety net. No parents there to pick up the pieces. So failure was never an option. I learned the hard way. And I'm very grateful for everything I have. And yeah, I'm here now. I'm a 60-year-old man with 4 children. Lost my eldest son, but 4 grandchildren as well. And just very, very grateful to be alive, and never ever dreamt I'd be on this journey.
I don't think any of us really dreamt that we would be on this journey, questioning and looking at finding the truth and helping to, on some level we knew, but to help change the planet. And
you said something earlier which made me smile, because you talked about sexy things. You imagine if I was sexy, I'd have 1 million subscribers.
Well, we'll just get you into that medibed, get your hair done, and you'll be cleanse out your liver, and you'll be right.
Exactly. It'll take at least 1 medibed, if not a dozen.
So, Charlie, when you talk about cults, like in the spiritual industry, some of them have been exposed too, like John of God, and I'm just going to put this out there that I believe the Dalai Lama has rolled over, but there's Scientology, there's little offshoots from Scientology, and we've all been fooled because people think that because it's got their New Age spiritual name, that they must be taking everyone from dark to light, wherein sometimes it's very much it's taking you back to the dark. They're very good at fooling people, and they use a lot of language. What I'm finding in a lot of modalities is the language that if you don't speak it, you're not in, and you can tell the way that they're programmed, and it's just like, wow.
Well, the Vatican was the shock to me, and the Pope worshipped Satan and not God. That was a big shock to me to find that out. I didn't see that, because I've never studied it. But yeah, now's the time to wake up and look at things. And as I said earlier on, look inside, look at the facts, and then trust your intuition. This is time to reset your moral compass and look inside yourself. And then I always say to people, if you're religious, you can ask God. If you're a Muslim, you can ask Allah. If you don't believe in anything, ask your mother or your grandmother. They'll help you.
Not if they don't believe us. I think we're nuts.
Mothers and grandmothers tend to know the truth from bullshit. It's a matriarch that's been in existence since time began, you know. I know some of the toughest men in the world, some of the hardest men you'll ever know, who are not scared of anybody except their mother.
Because I believe that men have forgotten how to be men and women have forgotten how to be women.
Totally.
And as we move forward through this, because women have gone into their masculine, we've gone into doing, and yeah, it's the whole balance in masculine and feminine is totally out of whack, and it's time for men to be men and for women to be women. It's got nothing to do with the way we dress or anything like that. It's how we act and how we allow the energy to flow through us.
Maybe we need to employ the Aborigines and the Maoris to teach us how to be men.
Yeah. and our indigenous cultures have been wiped out when we can learn so much from them. You know, here in Australia,
Totally.
The Aborigines, the Maoris, the North American Indians, they knew how to heal from plants. They knew what to eat. They ate seasonally. There's so much that we can learn. It's really, really exciting times that we're moving into, and yet we tried to whoever it was tried to wipe them all out because they knew what they knew.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. Well, thank you very much, Sandra and Rebecca. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, it's been awesome, Charlie. Thank you for helping us to understand and helping other people understand the things that we've been asked. And like for the work that we do is very much on a very grounded approach to things. And yeah, I'm looking forward to my tribe getting out there, and I hope to get to Spain one day and have a gin and tonic with you.
Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
I have one thing to actually ask you. If there's anybody that's just waking up, what do you say to them? Just trust the plan and go forward with what's happening, even though that we're in a world of chaos at the moment. Just trust what's happening and just trust yourself.
Trust the plan, but just point out little facts like government downgrading everything to nothing more than the food. Just little seeds, plant seeds, and let them water those seeds. Don't water it for them. Just give them little pointers and just let them do their research, and then they'll open up so much easier.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies.
Hi, it's Justin, and I hope you're enjoying my dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with family and friends, like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it. And just remember, Jesus loves you.